Guys, you don't need to choose between price and quality to get an amazing and affordable shave. DollarShaveClub.com is the answer. To prove how amazing their shave really is, right now they are going to give you your first month free to join the club. DollarShaveClub.com delivers amazing razors right to Tim Gettys' door for a third of the price of what the greedy razor corporations charge. Join the club like Tim did and stop dealing with the drugstore hassle and battle of the locked-up razor fortress ever again. See why over 3 million members like Tim Gettys, that's right, the pure one himself, love Dollar Shave Club. They're so confident in the quality of all their products. Now you can get your first month of the club for free. Just pay shipping. After that, it's just a few bucks a month. No long-term commitment. No hidden fees. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/Greggy. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Greggy and shave your face. I made that up. That's not their tagline, but I think they should use it. But I guess you could shave any... Hold on. And shave whatever. Oh, hey, didn't see you come in there. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Game Over Greggy show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino. Nick, where do we get these shirts?
Probably Filthy Casual.
It's one of those where Nick and I worry often at events about both coming downstairs in the producer/seducer shirt, but we never think about coming to the office, both of us rocking Filthy Casual shirts.
Yeah.
And we look good and they're different.
To be fair, it's a different shirt.
Agreed.
Cut of shirt.
Agreed.
Same graphic.
Same design.
Same graphic.
Most people, 99% of the people on the planet, would say it's the same shirt.
Well,
1%
they'd
of people
be generalizing.
Yeah, we are generalizing.
This is one of them good baseball tees.
That's nice.
I like a good baseball tee.
You look good in the baseball tee.
Thank you.
It accentuates your shoulders.
I run, I run the risk sometimes of just like, what if it's I don't mind this because it's the black shirt.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna get out. Kevin, give me my one or my two, technically, with my Philly Casual bro. I'm not gonna go out, ladies and gentlemen, and lie to your fucking face and tell you I've beaten armpit sweat, but I've given it the college try here, and we've got it down.
How is the industrial strength deodorant working or antiperspirant working?
Well, it's not even that. It's the certain dry at night and then the certain dry in the morning, balancing all that stuff out, trying to nuke the pores. I used to have baseball shirts. I have a great CJ's one, CJ's Hot Wings. You know what I mean? But it's a gray shirt, so you'd see the perspiration here. But when it's black, I'm much more confident. But then also this new armpit regimen I'm on. What was that now?
Nothing.
Was that a race joke you just make?
No.
Do you think that's the time in our nation's
time or place?
History? That's the pure one, Tim Gettys.
It is.
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I have a story for you.
Oh, I'm ready.
Last night, I woke up in a cold sweat.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. I just thought of something I've never thought about before.
Yeah.
And it was probably like 3:30 in the morning. Wasn't dreaming about this. Don't know where this came from. But I was like, I have a theory about Lion King that I've never heard of.
Oh, you know, I'm a big Lion King fan.
Immediately went to the internet and started looking for it. And I was like, this isn't one of those things. This is what a shower thought that I had when I wasn't even in the shower. Lion King, Simba. He goes off, bad things happen. He runs away from his life because he doesn't want to deal with it. Yeah. Meets Timon and Pumbaa. They convince him to eat all the bugs and stuff. They're drug dealers. He's doing drugs. That's what this is. This is drugs. Hakuna Matata. This entire thing. Then Rafiki comes, gives him the thing, and he sees his dad. He's having some psychedelics right here.
Yeah.
Shit's fucking deep, man.
Makes sense.
It's fucking deep. Timon and Pumbaa.
Now, I don't remember these bugs.
Bros.
What happened?
They eat the bugs. The Hakuna Matata. They eat the bugs and they walk across the bridge for 3 years.
I do remember the walking across. That was weird. Now, Simone and Bim over there, the pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
Go Jets.
Oh, how are they doing?
Better.
And then a very special guest, ladies and gentlemen. One of you, a best friend from patreon.com/kindafunny, the one and only Richard Trung.
Here to add so much diversity.
Yeah, it's about time.
Yeah.
I've been saying too many white guys in this show.
Too many.
Now,
So we got an Asian guy with an Australian accent.
Asian and Australian. Double
Whoa. I'm into it.
Richard, get up on the mic and tell you. All I know is that you backed us on Patreon. I know that you have a limited internet presence.
I do.
I Google your name. I couldn't come up with anything. I finally got through on the Instagrams we found. You're going to be showing your Instagram because you don't have a Twitter, which is weird.
Yeah.
But you have an Instagram. Dug deep enough there to see. You're one of these guys that I don't appreciate. You're not taking photos of yourself.
No.
Or there's one photo of a girl. You said you were somewhere like by a lake or an ocean or something. But more importantly, you're big on taking photos of like cafe latte art. You made me from the animated show.
Yes.
In a thing, and I think you've
Yes.
made everybody, haven't you?
I've made most people, but not everyone turned out super well, so I only posted a couple of them.
I love it. You're that guy.
Yeah, I own a cafe in Australia. So
Cheap plug. Where is it and what's its name?
it's called Moments Cafe in Perth, Joondalup. I'm not there at the moment, but pretty much everyone can do latte art. So I get to take my time. I spend 10 minutes, especially all of yours takes about 10 minutes to do. So that's just for my morning coffee.
Oh, wow.
So I don't really have a
wanna
boss
drink a
that
little
can
Nick in
tell
the
me
morning?
to kind of like get back to work. So it kind of helps doing more latte art and stuff like that.
Wait, so you own the entire thing?
Yes.
How many people work there?
About 10,
Holy
wow.
shit.
10 or 11.
Because I'm familiar with running cafe.
I was going to say you ran a coffee shop
And it
But it was
yourself.
only me and Alfredo. So
You
with
didn't own
this, no, we did not own it.
Did you make latte art?
Fuck no, are you kidding me? So I have
made
questions.
lattes.
Yeah, oh my God. I don't know if I ever properly made a latte, but how does this happen? Because I've seen a lot of people do it. And Gia's little sister now, she does all this fancy shit. She makes a little flower thing.
Oh, okay.
With Pikachus and shit.
It's so simple. It's literally you can use a teaspoon to like do the white parts that you want, and you get a toothpick, and then you stain the coffee, and then you draw. Like it's so simple. I don't know why more people don't do it. It's like such a draw, but like I guess everyone has a boss, and it takes a bit longer to do.
Yeah.
And coffee's maybe not as hot.
So
like,
when Nick's there at Starbucks, like begging these people, like, please just draw my coffee. What would you ask them to draw, Nick?
Oh my God, just a huge dick pic. But mine though, I'd be like, it needs to be accurate.
Here,
maybe
The thing
draw
is-
this.
The thing is,
Yeah.
I would be against it, and here's why: because it would take too long. And when I go to Starbucks, it already takes long enough to get a cup of coffee there. And people say, like, the one thing I don't like is when the baristas start chatting with the regulars, and I'm like, hey, hey,
I need my Trenta iced coffee right now.
I need my coffee, my 15th coffee of today. Please stop fucking around.
This is something that we discovered sadly with Tim the other day. And when I say we, I mean me. Tim and I went to a business meeting, very important, highfalutin downtown business meetings, and we went and got coffee. And then Tim, on the way out, I was like, oh, I wanted to stop there. He's like, well, there's a Starbucks across the street. I'm like, but I had my heart set on this, the coffee right there. And he goes, I came to a conclusion today. I don't like fancy coffee.
what?
You only like
I'll do
Starbucks
it.
now. It's beating
Not
you.
that I only like it, but it's just like I think as an overall experience, I prefer it.
You're getting a nice, this like handcrafted cup. It's delicious. It's smooth. No bitterness. It's coming.
I mean, that's the thing is like I feel like fancy coffee tastes like fancy dirt.
You're a fancy asshole.
It is
You're
what it
fancy
is.
monster.
You hurt
It is
me.
what it is.
You hurt me.
But I mean, I'm down to like change my thoughts, change my opinions and my outlook on life. But I mean, I'm more of a quantity guy when it comes to this stuff. I just like getting a lot of liquid in me as quickly as possible. That's why the Trenta iced coffee is fantastic.
You know what's fascinating about that? Obviously, I'm very much like you in that regard, but I've been taking a little bit more, taking a few more chances with my coffee lately, because when I went to London and when I went to Morocco, there wasn't an abundance of Starbucks in London, and there was no Starbucks in Morocco. So if you wanted coffee, you were sort of forced to have whatever they had. And in Morocco and London specifically, it was really, really good. And they give you like really, really like non-homogenized milk, things like that. So it's just a different taste. But you're not gonna get an iced coffee. You're certainly not gonna get a Trenta iced coffee when you're in Marrakesh. Like, it's just not gonna happen.
Were they really little cups? Because you see in those movies, people are usually drinking it. Not espressos.
No, but I mean, yes, everywhere else in the world, if you go to anywhere and order a large coffee, it's gonna be maybe as big as this pint glass, probably. I mean,
No.
maybe not.
No, here we've got an expert
No,
on
yours
coffees
is
around
bigger?
the world.
About a large,
Yeah.
generally on the more generous side, will be about 16 ounces.
What is this? 12 ounces?
That was like 20.
So
No.
about like there.
Okay, so smaller. So
Yeah.
that's my point there, right? Like, so you'd get. I ordered the venti for the first time, and I remember doing this in Japan as well. I was like, I don't understand, but I don't want to like start a cultural thing right now. That is a fucking tall. Okay, you are giving me a tall, but I'm asking for
a cultural thing right
Like, I
now.
don't want to start, international events here. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to fucking get arrested. But it's one of those things where you go and you're like, well, that's probably as much coffee as a human being should consume in a 24-hour period. And I'm having 8 of its bigger, fatter brothers in the United States. But I actually got on Americanos, like hot Americanos, something awful, because you would just go, you're like, oh, there's a coffee shop here. I don't know. I'll have an Americano because I know I can get a decaf coffee in that form. And then I started actually, for the first time in my entire life, noticing the difference between coffee. And I'm like, wow, Starbucks is pretty shitty. And actually, Pete's is pretty shitty coffee too. Like it's this mass-produced, mass quantity coffee that you're sacrificing the quality. You just are.
And to be fair, I agree. It is shitty. I don't think it tastes good. I'm just addicted to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, this is the Game Over Greggy show each and every week. 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bring a random topic discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can get each and every episode early, along with a bunch of exclusive perks and goodies like coming on the show. But if you don't have any bucks to toss our way, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where we put up the entire show topic by topic, day by day, until it goes up as one big video and MP3. Richard, you came all the way from Australia.
Yep,
You run a coffee. You own a coffee shop.
I do.
How old are you?
25.
Jesus Christ.
You got to get on your shit, dude. You should start a business.
What's your topic?
My topic is the art of the hustle.
The art of the hustle.
Very into it.
Should the three of us just go away so you and Tim guys can bond on this or what?
So I was thinking about what my topic would be, and I was listening through old podcasts, and I came along the ones where Greg was just rambling for about 20 minutes or so. And I was thinking, what are my favorite childhood stories? So my favorite childhood story is a story from primary school or grade school. So essentially, as an Asian kid, I went to an all-white high school. Not a single, maybe 2 Asian kids in the entire school. So no one had understood what Hello Pandas were. Do you guys know what Hello Pandas are?
Of course, I know what
exactly.
Hello Pandas are.
No,
It's a little like cookie
little
things.
Okay, yeah, I know what those are.
Yeah, with the chocolate in there. So pretty much no one at that point knew exactly what they were. So they were like a hot commodity. And back then, I was like a very fat kid. So I just wanted to eat and eat and eat.
What the fuck?
I know that.
Puberty, girls? What happened?
A growth spurt?
Okay,
Literally
okay.
no exercise, no change in habits whatsoever.
I hate people like you.
Sucks. This guy sucks.
So essentially, we had a canteen, which, do you guys know what a canteen is? So,
Yeah, Star Wars. You go up there.
Precisely. Yeah. So it's essentially where you go to buy like fried foods and whatnot. And as an Asian kid, you didn't really get pocket money and stuff. Chores were just chores so you don't get beat. So essentially...
Sounds a lot like the Italian culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I right, Colin?
So I figured that all these kids would buy the Hello Pandas off me. And considering that I got 2 packs a day and they cost me nothing, I could make a lot of money off
How
of
are
it.
you getting these?
Just through parents, like
They were packing this
they
lunch
were in
for
my
you?
packed lunch. So
Gotcha.
I was just like, oh, can I have 2 boxes today? I'm really hungry. So then I would trade them for like, I would sell them off for like $1 a piece, 50 cents a piece, because all these kids had no idea what they were. So like hot commodity,
How many pandas are in a box, roughly?
roughly 20
Holy shit.
Wait, you'd sell them $1 a piece or a package?
$1 a piece.
Wow.
A piece.
It's a good
So,
margin on
yeah,
that bad boy.
Very good margin considering they were free. And then after a while, I kind of got bored of all the canteen food. So then I started trading them for favors. I wasn't a very bright kid, so I traded them for like, can I copy your homework? Hey, can you go reserve the Foursquare for me?
Are
Handball
you kidding me? This
court.
sounds genius.
So
into
yeah,
it.
that was my topic. So I just wanted to know, what is your best hustle, or what is the time that you got hustled the best?
Well, I want to know, how does your hustle end? Do the parents get wise, or are you just the mob kingpin forever of
No,
this school?
I
I
think you
just-
started this coffee shop.
Bring your dad's lease to his coffee shop.
I just went from trading to trading, and then all these kids started going to the Chinese grocers next to me. I don't know why they didn't in the first place, and then ate all that shit up. But then Yu-Gi-Oh cards became a thing, and then I started selling those.
Yes, those
Smart.
spaghettis.
Yeah,
Smart.
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I was a shit kid like you, just hustling all over the place for fucking weird ass reasons and doing weird ass shit. I think the one that jumps out to me to begin with was the school newspaper. So we had the school newspaper. I, of course, knew I wanted to write about video games, and journalism was the only way we could figure out to do it. So I'd gone, and I'm talking about great. Well, it's weird for me, right? Because I don't understand the breakdowns anymore. Grade school into junior high, but I was there, K through 8 before I went to a private school or high school from whatever 9 through 12. I want to say I did the newspaper in 4th grade, and then 5th grade, and then I think they closed it. They were like, we're not going to do it for this year in the 6th grade. There's not going to be an extracurricular activity, because it was just some dumb thing. It wasn't even like you're getting newsprint, right? It was like that long paper you would buy, like the long thing, and then fold it in half, and they distribute the newspaper that way, I think. And so I thought that was bullshit. And so I decided I was going to start Greg's Gazette. And it was going to be a student newspaper that he's cataloging all this for the documentary. This is actually one of my like better, like not as crazy, but crazy stories, I guess, of like, it's not Grandma Miller with a raccoon or anything.
How did I never hear this?
Are there still copies?
Oh yeah, I have them somewhere. Yeah, Greg's Gazette, and it was a student newspaper that I started for our class. So if it would have been 6th grade, it would have been the 6th graders or whatever. And of course, it's not a real thing. There's no moderator or anything. So I'm just letting kids write about whatever they want to write about. So remember, we're this Catholic school where we go to mass so kids are writing about, man, I hate uniforms. We shouldn't wear these. And like, why do they make us go to church? And it's just all opinion pieces of this stuff, right? Of like this. And you've heard me talk about Poe. I make fun of him to this day. Poe turns in, and I publish it. Poe turns in this article that's basically just like, I like the Three Stooges. And that's all it was.
This sounds like the best newspaper on
and
the
he had
planet.
this transition I'll never forget. And he's like, speaking of crazy, let's talk about Larry's hair. But it's just his love letter. But it sounds like it was like this weird, dumb thing. Now, where it gets ballsy and becomes the hustle is that I decided I was going to charge 10 cents a copy for this. And kids were gladly paying for it. And my mom would run off copies at her office. So again, it was just like, whatever. There's no overhead on doing this. I'm just coming in, doing this, selling this, doing it, whatever.
Was this a weekly paper?
It was going to be. So I believe, and it's rough on this one. I want to say 2 weeks in, there was a fist fight. Where not about the paper. Not about the paper. There was a fist fight in our class, you know what I mean? Of these two guys got in a thing. And one of them was pretty much a bully, but he was bullying this kid that we all hated who was a jerk to us. It was this weird thing, right? It was a weird thing, but it was a locker room fight for a bunch of dumb kids.
You were conflicted then.
Not really. We ran an editorial basically that was like from this one kid of like,
You ran an editorial? All right.
it was not one of the guys involved with the fight, but it was somebody basically being like, why does the one guy get a 2-day suspension and the other kid get nothing? And it's like, well, in reality, he got nothing because he kind of got sucker punched, just beat up in the bathroom. You know what I mean? But like, we were like, yeah. I was like, I don't know if I agree with your point, but I'll run this column or whatever. And that's what got me brought to the principal's office. And that's when they were like, what are you doing? You can't print, you can't do this. You can't run this kind of thing and sell it on school grounds and do all these different things. And I remember my mom, big old Jamie Kennedy, being so offended of this, of like, you guys canceled the paper. These kids are obviously interested enough to do it. They're doing their own. Now you want to throw one out. And my mom, picked me up from school that day and was like, she's like, I was like, I think we should call like the local news. She's like, yeah, totally. Call local news. Try to get you know what I mean? Like try to get them to cover the fact like da 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 da. And I called local news and I talked to a reporter there. And she's like, well, it's a private school, so we really can't. I mean, you can't do anything. You're going in there by choice. It's not a public thing and not an institution like that. And so they closed Greg's Gazette after 2 or 3 issues.
Hold on. How old are you?
He's
5th or 6th grade. 5th or 6th grade. I'm
This
fuzzy.
is impressive.
Yeah,
really
we're
impressive.
not even. I mean, it gets worse in my hustles. Then the end cap to that was on the final day of school when we had our final mass, and they were like, "School's over," and like yay. I started selling them outside the school, and I was like, we ran an editorial about the principal who was leaving, who had been like my foe. I'm like, fuck this lady. We didn't say fuck this lady, but that's like it. I'm just like, this is some bullshit. Like, I'm glad we had this one teacher, Mrs. Rancer, who was like retiring after like 90 years there or whatever the fuck it was, and this like principal's just leaving, and she got all this stuff, and they dedicated a tree to her, and Mrs. Rancer got nothing. And this principal sucked, and Mrs. Rancer was great, and this needed to be told. This was the journalism, Tim. This needed to be told.
Fuck yeah,
and we
man.
told it, and we did it.
Good for you.
That is such. You have these amazing stories every once in a while that you say like that is a movie. That should be a movie.
Yeah.
That is fucking hilarious. That like.
The other one was like I was a cartoonist as well. Like I was really hung up. Like it was either in the graduating eighth grade yearbook, right? It says journalist or cartoonist or comic book artist, I think, because that's what they changed it to. But it was like I was drawing comics for a long time, comic strips and comic books.
What were you drawing? A little frog dude?
Yeah, I did frog stuff. Yeah. I had the character named Froggy.
I did frog stuff.
Yeah, that was my muse. Froggy. Just some dumb thing that I drew and kept doing. I also had the very inventive Power Man. It's terrible. That was like early
Man
on stuff. Power Man evolved or whatever. If I'm lying, I'm dying. This is like when there's like pivotal moments in your adolescence where you're like trying to become an adult or you feel like and I was drawing a cartoon or a comic book I was doing about Froggy. And I brought Power Man back as like the bad guy, right? This is only a thing to me. Nobody knows about Power Man but me. But I remember very distinctly, I was very proud of it. And I turned it into my mom. She was reading through it. And at one point, Power Man threatens to rape Froggy's girlfriend. And my mom's like,
Wow.
that ain't cool. You got to take that out. Like, I understand what you're trying to do here. You are not fucking writing high class fiction here. You are not an adult that needs to be tackling these topics in your Frog Power Man battle, all right? Like, all right, Mom, whatever. Freedom of the press, walked away. Anyways, I drew so much during class and I didn't do anything else, you know what I mean? That eventually I did the exact same thing where I was like, man, I bet kids loved my comics. I was like, I bet I could sell these. So again, Mom would run them off at the thing. I'd put them together in these giant binders and sell those for like $5 and kids would buy them. There was another time too. We went to Outdoor Ed, which was in 5th grade, which is like, you know, you're stupid. Everybody gets in a bus and you go like for 2 overnights or whatever up in some place and you learn
Nature's classroom.
Exactly. You fucking get leaves and shit, and then they make paper out of it. You know this garbage y'all have to do. Like you act like, and then you just go home and you spray your hairspray.
That was called Game Boy time for Colin.
Yeah, exactly. But I had the bright idea of bringing a tape recorder, and I was documenting it the whole time with my friends and interviewing them and talking. And then I sold those tapes. I did a bunch of stupid ass hustles.
I really appreciate you in a way that I didn't know that I did.
No problem.
I did not know that.
Did not expect that.
I have a giant blue bin at home that still has the tapes, still has the grisettes, all the
So you
other
didn't
stuff.
sell out, unfortunately.
Oh, I mean, I kept some for me. I knew like these would be important.
You knew that one day
history.
eBay.
Yeah,
eBay.
exactly.
Yeah.
You were there with Jen and G that one night
Yeah.
where we went through and like the newspaper, Chicago Sun-Times and the Tribune and the Daily Herald. They all wrote about me and like all this dumb shit I was doing.
We spent hours looking through Greg's photo albums. And my God, if there's not treasure in there.
Yeah.
Some of the fucking shit, I'm just like, this is fantastic. I mean, his whole life is documented where there's pictures of everything and then he wrote captions. It's like he didn't even need Instagram for it to be Instagram. He's fucking just writing all these things. And some of the captions are just totally like jokes that were just for you. And it's just like he's writing these like narrative storylines and it's like, please refer to page 59. And it's just like, what the fuck is even happening? It's a photo album. I was impressed though. And there was a lot of newspaper cutouts and these Froggy comics and like a bunch of shit. There's pictures of Greg in his room with just frogs everywhere. Which
He's not exaggerating, but I wasn't just drawing like a frog. Froggy was doing things.
Froggy was definitely like, he had a mind of his own. Like he was out there.
When I figured out how to draw breasts, that's really when we expanded the Frog universe.
Oh,
You know what I
really?
mean?
You
Where all
got a
of a sudden-
girlfriend?
Oh yeah, girlfriends and sisters and stuff. Moms, he had all.
Mistress?
Yeah.
Do you have a
No,
mistress?
we didn't go that far. No, it wasn't.
Wasn't cheating on the old girlfriend?
No.
Getting out of the house, saying, I'll be right
Tim,
back.
I imagine you have plenty of hustles.
Yeah, I feel like I've told a lot of my hustle stories before on the show. The way that I got hustled most was my 6th to 8th grade band teacher, Mrs. Chin, who would sell us corn nuts in a way similar to you.
Corn nuts?
Corn nuts, it's like little, I don't know.
They're gas station food you would get
okay.
there, like snackums.
They're fantastic.
Yeah.
They're little corn.
They're just
that's-
giant pieces of corn that are like
They're
fried.
fried and like hard, and there's like seasoning on them.
Yeah.
and-
Are they
Oh,
really
okay.
pieces of corn? I don't remember. I don't know.
I think so.
Was this like corn? I'm thinking of corn pops that where they had to put in the commercial. They
Corn
just
nuts
fucking
are
ate
actual-
corn. Like
actual
why'd you
corn,
name
right?
it that?
Yeah, I have no idea. But anyways, like she would charge us way too much money. When you think back, it's just like, you're my teacher. You're not supposed to be doing this. But yeah, every day after band class, she'd be like, all right, now that we're done, before lunchtime, if you guys want to come over to the closet, and we'd go over to this fucking closet and wait in line and fucking pay her way too much money for these corn nuts. She definitely bought it Smart and Final or Costco.
Oh yeah, she hit up Costco for that. She
like-
had the variety pack, that big pack. I remember that thing.
But my favorite thing about Mrs. Chin, though, totally unrelated to the story, is she was a music teacher, so she tried to teach us the difference between like eighth notes or quarter notes or half notes or whatever. And so she would do it by different types of car. And so she'd be like, all right, car, Lexus, Mitsubishi, car, Lexus, car, boss. Like, it was the fucking best.
Love that.
Shout
Love
out
that.
to you, Miss Chin. But my greatest hustle story, the two that I've definitely told on the show before, but the abbreviated versions are my PlayStation Portable story, where there was a trade-in deal at EB and GameStop where you could trade in any, at that point, current gen console games, and if you traded in 3 of them, you get a PlayStation Portable game. So the system hadn't come out yet, so I did the math. I'm like, all right, if I were to get every launch title plus enough launch titles to trade the launch titles in to get a PlayStation Portable, how many fucking games would I need? Figured it out. Look, it was like 100. Looked at the list of games that you were allowed to do, because obviously you can't be trading no Madden NFL 2001. Like, there was rules, but I was like, what's the cheapest game you can possibly find? Outlaw Golf Christmas edition, 9 more holes on the Xbox was the answer. So it was a Blockbuster Video exclusive. So this hustle involved, I think it was forcing Kevin or Alfredo, one of the two, because I didn't have a car at the time, to drive me around to all the Blockbusters in San Francisco to buy every single copy of this damn game they had that was 99 cents. Got it. Then we went to Serramonte, because at Serramonte there is 4 EBs, or now GameStops, within walking distance.
Yeah.
So there's 2 in the mall. There's one down at the Colma Target, and there's one at the other, whatever the fuck mall it is near Home Depot. So we just went, because obviously these places, they're like, you can't do this much. So I did as much as I could at each one, moved on to the next one, kept doing it. Next thing you know, I had the entire PSP launch lineup, and it was fantastic. Fantastic. But my favorite hustle of all time was high school. Me and Alfredo, before we accomplished anything in our lives at all, decided to do a photo shoot, went to Kinko's, got a bunch of pictures printed of the two of us in very boy band style pictures. And then we set up a desk at my high school, just put a bunch of Sharpies down, just sat there and just started autographing them. The next thing you know, we had a line of fucking people. We were freshmen.
That's less telling about you than it is about humans. Like about human high school.
Oh, there's a line. These guys must be important.
These guys must be important. It's like, don't we fucking know these guys?
No, it was great.
Punk-ass freshmen.
It was our, like, I don't know, first or second month of being in high school, and like we had all our friends from middle school already, so we kind of had our group already, but I didn't know anyone else. And that's how we met all the like upperclassmen, and specifically all the like cheerleaders and song girls and urban step girls, all the girls that we were like, we needed to know.
Yeah.
God, Madison, I miss you, Madison. But anyway, those girls were fantastic, and that whole experience was the best. And that says a lot about who I am to this day.
It really does. I would not have even thought to do any of this stuff when I was a kid. I was so by the rules. I'm still by the rules. The other day, like the only thing I could think that was even close to a hustle happened to me 2 days ago. I went into that Spirit Halloween over in Serramonte that was huge, right? And all I needed was one of those. All I needed was one of those priest collars, because I have a black shirt. I'm like, I'm going to a Halloween party as a priest, right? So all I need is like the little collar that goes in there. And I'm like, they probably have one for cheap. I could have just probably made it out of cardboard too. And I'm like, maybe they've got one that Velcros. Save me a second. I walk in. The line is like 2 hours just to buy something, and people are just standing it. And I'm like, this is bullshit. And I walked out like huffing and puffing like I always do. And then I stopped myself and I'm like, what would Tim Gettys do? Tim Gettys would walk in there, pick up the thing, go talk to someone at the front of the line and be like, can you buy this for me? And that's exactly what I did. And I was like, I walked up to the cutest girl I could find, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry to bug you. Can I give you
She
10?
maces him immediately.
No, I was like, can I give you money to buy this for me? Like the line's really, really long, and I got to get out of here. I got a party, you know.
I got a party. Hey, cute girl that I don't know. I'm Nick Scarpino. You might know me as the creepy guy on the internet. I got a party I got to get to right now, and I'm going to be a priest, so can you buy this for me?
And it worked. She was like, don't even worry about it. Just cut in front. And I was like, all right. And so literally, and she was like up next. So as the person said next, she was like, go ahead. And I walked right in and I paid for it. It was like $6. But that was my proudest moment of a hustle that I've ever had, because I was like, that was me thinking outside the box and saying no to the rules.
That.
No. Yeah. Fuck you, rules. I'm not going to stand in line. Because no one else in that whole place gave 10 shits what was happening. The security guards are like, fuck this havoc. Like, if there was a fight that broke out, they would have just closed the fucking doors and lit the place on fire.
Colin, you hustling?
Yeah, I had some hustles back in the day. What came to mind to me was my time in private school. I don't know how the fuck I even got this job, in quotes.
Okay.
But school got out at like 2:30 or something. I didn't have hockey until like 6. So there was like an after school program it was like yours K through 8, or whatever, and I was in 7th grade and 8th grade. So there was like an after school program that was somewhere like in the basement of the school where like parents would come to get their kids through the front doors, but the front doors were locked, and so they just paid me to open the door for these people, like sit on a chair in front of the door and just open it, and then they would pay literally $25 a week to sit there for 2 hours a day just doing homework or whatever. So I was like, it was not very much money, but I didn't get along with the sister that ran the school at all. For lack of a better term, she was one of the great all-time twats I had ever met in my entire fucking life.
For lack of a better term.
Okay, like this woman
I don't think there's a better term for
fucking
that.
sucked. I don't know how else to put it. Like, and I've told the stories before about. I was kind of, I got thrown into private school and then just left a few years later. So like, I didn't.
You just walked out one day.
Well,
like,
I was
"Nope, I'm
basically
done."
like, when I declared I was an atheist in 8th grade, that was basically the end of that. Which was a weird thing to do in Catholic school, I guess. But I didn't really know the protocol. I really didn't belong there. I like came up in public school and then I went to private school for a few years and then I just went back to public school again. I really just wanted to play hockey like at a private high school. So I like, whatever. So, and I ended up getting into that high school and then not going. So, basically what ended up happening was this sister who was the great all-time twat.
Sister twat.
She so my hockey team, I played on a travel team. We used to like cut our hairs into mohawks and do all these like things. And like I used to get called in the office all the time. He's like, you got to go home and cut your hair. You got to go home and do this. My mom, like, we used to get fucking really mad and like go in there and have an argument with these people. So I just didn't like this woman. So what I ended up doing after like a couple weeks, and I just did this forever, was I just put like something in the door, and then like went downstairs and played on Apple IIs or like went and got a bagel. And then I would come back, and every once in a while, someone would be there upset at me, but no one like ever did anything about it. And so I just kind of kept, the status quo. Every once in a while, you'd sit in the chair, and then you'd go, hope that no one came. And then, sometimes you'd get a thing like, this mom's been outside for 15 minutes. Where have you been? We pay you 50 cents an hour off the books to do this kind of shit. And I'm like, I don't really care. I was really obsessed with this bagel place down the street. That was pretty good. And so I would go there. So I mean, but it was really more of a catch-22 for me, because I really hated this woman. But I also really wanted the money, and I wanted to do the right thing, but there were so many distractions around me because I was in this school. All the teachers and the kids were like in the basement, and I just had like these computers and all these kinds of things to play around with. And then I kind of combined a different hustle where this was at the same time when I was getting CD Now and all that kind of, or like Columbia House, and I was getting like just dozens of CDs for free. Basically, never bought them, because like I was 12. And you did the same thing. That's how I got into 311 and stuff like that, because I got all their records. And so I would just sell those like to people for $5 or $10 a piece.
Very smart.
I remember selling Bush's first 2 records, the one with glycerine on, and then the one after that, Razor Blade Suitcase, to a kid for like $20. It was just making money hand over fist doing this kind of stuff. So this all kind of intermingled with each other. I was also selling my customizable card game cards at the same time, going and buying them, finding the rare ones. This all really happened in that one time, because I was a pretty good kid. Like I like Nick, I like to be on the up and up. But there was a particular rebellious thing I was going through when I was in Catholic school, because I fucking hated it, so it was good education.
You would have more insight in terms of what I'm about to say, and then you could have just the other side of the argument, both of you. But I feel like, because I feel like you and I, we're cut from the same cloth on a lot of issues. This would be one of them that I feel like, and I don't want to say just Catholic school teachers, but I don't want to say teachers in general either. In my case, of the 2 schools I went to before Mizzou, right? A lot of twat teachers. A lot of motherfucking teachers with chips on their shoulders who I just wanted to beat to death. That were just like assholes.
It was incredible.
That ruined experiences for me.
It was incredible.
Like,
they were a lot of them were like that. There were a few that were great. It brings me back to, there was a woman, I don't even want to use her name. I still talk to her today because she's awesome. I had this great teacher. She was from Brooklyn. She was an older woman, probably in her 60s when I had her. She was like my homeroom teacher in 7th grade, and then she basically the way it was in my Catholic school was there were basically 2 classes for each grade. So like there were 2 7th grade classes of
that's how mine was.
There were 2 8th grade classes, but 7th and 8th grade were put together. 6th and 5th grade were put together. So basically what happened was like you would stay with your class, but like the 7th grade teacher, Mrs. X or whatever, would be the homeroom teacher for that, and then she taught science.
Yeah.
Then the other one was like she was a homeroom teacher and she taught English, and then there was a history teacher.
That's my way.
So the writing and English and literature teacher was this really awesome woman. She was like super dynamic. She like would listen to music with us in the class, and like we would go over song lyrics, and she was kind of like a hippie kind of woman or whatever. And you could tell she grew up like in the 50s and 60s in Manhattan, which was like a really formidable time for poetry, for folk rock, for all that kind of stuff.
Drugs.
Definitely for drugs. And she was like fired or removed under these shady circumstances in between 7th and 8th grade, and we all loved her. And I don't remember the ins and outs of it because it was so long ago. This is like 97.
Yeah.
But we were so mad that I felt bad because a lot of it was taken out on her replacement.
Sure.
The next year, who was like this younger, probably 20-something-year-old.
Broke that poor girl.
I was never really a mean kid. I was kind of quiet. Actually, like I really wasn't. Like I was, like I've always said, I wasn't really picked on. I didn't do the picking. I kind of just like slid on through.
Kevin just laughed.
Yeah, I kind of just slid on through. I just like really did keep it to myself. But there was this like, I remember that solidified how much I fucking hated that place.
Yep.
Because I was like, they got rid of her because she wasn't buttoned up even though she had taught there for years, and I'm still friendly with her today. Like we still message back and forth every once in a while. And she's a fucking super nice, sweet woman. And so I always, it has nothing to do with the hustle, I guess, but it just reminded me like how part of my life was strange, to say the very least, because you did it your entire time, but I started in a public school and I ended in a public school, and in between I was in this Catholic school situation simply because that made sense for what I thought. I wanted to play. I played hockey at a very competitive level. That was what made, at that time, that's what made sense. And like I said, ironically, I did get into that school. One of my friends didn't get in that school, and then I left and went back to Long Island, and he got into my place. Ironically,
nice. Look at that.
So
that man, Jeremy Roenick,
who's somehow Jeremy Roenick's 60 now, but somehow he was still. Jeremy Roenick, of course, all-time great Chicago Blackhawk player.
Dick teachers for you in public school? Like people that like ruin the experience. Like I will never give my high school money based on the teachers I had to deal with in high school.
I had phenomenal teachers all the way up, actually, yeah. I mean, there was a couple of teachers that you just didn't care for. But I think largely most of the teachers I didn't get along with were just the ones whose subject I didn't care for.
Yeah.
So it was always like, but I mean, for the most part, I was really fortunate. I had great, especially in music. That's why I stayed in music for so long. Like my junior high music teacher and then my high school band director they were fucking awesome. And those are the guys that really kind of inspired me to kind of pursue the arts. And then I had an amazing drama teacher too. Like I had really good people. I was, and that's probably why I didn't hustle that much, because I never really had to like worry about stuff. I would just ask for something, and people were around me that were supportive, and they'd give it to me, right? With the exception of cigarettes. Those are the one time I used to hustle, and I would pull some shady shit to get cigarettes. Like I remember one year, my Uncle Jim was a dentist, and he was paying me, I think it was like 5 cents. They used to have these like, if you guys remember, X-rays used to come on like in a physical form, right?
Yeah.
So when they take the X-rays of your mouth, they'd have to process the film, and then they put them up on this little chart. They'd write your name on the chart, and then they put it up and take a look, and keep them in your like full-time folder for a year. And then when you get new X-rays, they throw those out. But my Uncle Jim was like, well, if I can probably recycle these, I can give Nick like a cent per one, and if he erases the name on them, if I write in pencil, then I can make a buck. So I used to go to his house every day after school, and I would just sit in his garage every day and just erase these things. And it was like, I didn't have a radio or anything. I would just be in a dark garage, and I would just be erasing. I was like, God, this is the most fucking depressing thing on the planet.
This story's familiar. I feel like sweatshop.
So inevitably, what I started doing was I was like, I gotta take a break, and I would just start rummaging around his garage until I found a pack of Salem cigarettes, and then I'm like, this went from the worst job to the best job. And I was like 12 or 13. I would take smoke breaks. I would just go back and like sit. I would like take my it was shorts, of course. I'd take my shoes off and dip them in a spa, and I would just be smoking a cigarette. And my mom would be like, Was your uncle there? Was he smoking? I was like, yeah. And it was just like, he hadn't been home for fucking hours. He had no idea. There was that, and then my buddy Stu and I used to go buy cigarettes, and we would literally hit up every shop. Because there's no one's going to arrest you when you're a kid trying to buy cigarettes. We figured that out. So all you'd have to do is just go ask, and if they said no, you would just go to the next shop or go to the next. And finally, we found a place down by where Stu lived we could walk to. And the guy would look at me for a second, clearly a 13-year-old trying to buy cigarettes. And he would be like, all right. And he would just hand over the cigarettes. And it was like later in life, I'm like, I fucking hated that guy. Like, how would you say yes to that? That dipshit kid, but
that man, Chris Chelios.
That's so weird. The Chicago Blackhawk reference. I will say this to close it out. The one unintentional hustle I had was it was really like late '90s or mid to late '90s eBay, which was the fucking Wild West.
Oh,
so for people,
West,
it was insane back in the day, because I remember I joined it in like '97, maybe '96, and you had to be 18 years old or older. But here's the thing, so. This was before PayPal, before any of this stuff, before eBay bought PayPal, before Peter Thiel and all that kind of stuff. You could just run up an account with them. And so they were taking a rip off of every sale. It was like 50 cents or something like that. That's how they made their money. But like you were supposed to send them a check at some point, and I just never did. And I sold things for years. And then I just went away, and they never came after me for the money ever. And they probably couldn't have, similar to the Columbia House thing, because there was before the thing like check to make sure you're 18, or like like all these things to like kind of give them a legal way to go after you in some way to get the little bit of money they owed you. It was unbelievable. Like I was just selling things on eBay with impunity for fucking 2 years, and I wasn't ripping anyone off on eBay. I was ripping eBay off, I guess, in a way, because I think I owed them something not bad, like $20 or something.
I was going to say, yours
it
is
was like
cents on the dollar versus the person who really wasn't using the system having thousands.
Exactly,
of dollars.
and that always shocked me because because I had this uncanny ability. I was buying NES and SNES games basically only, and then I had this uncanny ability of selling things that I bought for a certain price and just somehow writing it the right way to get more money back. And I remember the biggest example is I bought a 486 laptop for some reason. I have no idea why. It ran Windows 3.1. This was in like 1998. I ran Windows 3.1 and I don't know why I wanted it. It had a floppy drive. It had like a 14.4 modem. It was like this fucking terrible machine. I remember buying it for like under $100 and then just putting it back on eBay and I got like $300 for it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't understand. I don't even know what this thing is. I don't know anything about computers or technology, clearly, still to this day. I didn't like write like, here are the specs. I basically was like, this is a laptop and
it does things.
And then someone
would you
wanted
like
it.
to do things with it?
So anyway, like I never really wanted. I mean, these hustles that you guys are describing, especially you, Greg, are very dynamic hustles. But like to me, it was more of a visceral, guttural kind of, like a kind of like a. I want to make a little bit of money, but I don't need, because by the time I was in 9th grade, I had a real job anyway.
Sure.
It was, I mean, not a real job. I mean, my job sucked anyway, but I was making money as opposed to the 50 cents an hour or whatever I was making, keeping a door open for moms to come get their kids when they could have easily just like, who's going to come in? Who's going to storm this school and come kidnap someone?
It's a lot of steps. There's easier ways to kidnap kids.
I know. It's, this was 18 years ago now, so it's a long time.
They never would have found the body.
This could be one of those topics that could be the entire show.
I know. We'll stop. I'm sorry.
Yes, we
Richard,
should.
did this answer your question?
It did very much so.
Okay, good.